Alright guys, showing you all the different cloud layers there. This is how we're thinking three-dimensionally. And you can kind of tie that in with your charts and your skew-T analysis. And I wanted to show you a little bit about the photography quality. I wish it could be better, but there's a reason for that. These are the costs that I'm looking at to upgrade the internet service. It's like $250 a month, so I'm not sure that's going to happen for a while until we start doing donations or something like that, but we'll wait till later on down the line for that. Maybe that'll happen, then we can go HD. But when I'm traveling in San Antonio or Dallas, I usually have high-speed internet there, like fast fiber, so we can definitely do it for those presentations. All right, let's check and make sure our audio is up and running. That's going to be the first priority here. Let's see, I'm getting levels that look very good here. And, all right, I think we're good to go here. Texas, once again, under the southeasterly flow from the Gulf. You can see the moisture has crept inwards a little bit. So our 70-degree isodrosotherm is going to run kind of like that. And then the 60 line, yeah, that has made progress all the way to southern Oklahoma and into the, I've already forgotten the name of this area here. There's a prairie or a plains type area here. Maybe not plains, plateau, that's what I'm looking for. Edwards Plateau. That's it, right there around Junction and San Angelo. So moisture not quite making it there, but we can see convergence out to the west there. So when we see that, we know we've probably got a lee side trough or possibly a dry line. In this case, it looks like the dry line is a little bit west of there or east of there, about right here. So the dry line and the trough, they're a little bit out of phase. And that'll happen from time to time. Technically, the dry line will not really fall in a trough like it will with fronts. So if you do an isobar analysis, you'll come up with something like that probably. So don't be surprised when you see that. All right, let's go to the big picture, what's happening across the U.S. We've got cyclogenesis, pressure falls, height falls in Colorado right there, and that's bringing in air from far and wide. Some of that recycled tropical air, should say recycled polar air from this area, and we talked about that with trajectories over the weekend. The other air mass is in the southwestern U.S. right here. That's a drier air mass, and you can see how that plays into the dry line position today. So driving all these air masses, we have high pressure over Idaho. So we got a bit of a Great Basin high. We have ridging across the eastern U.S. like that. We've probably got high pressure over Minnesota, and that's driving that front in Nebraska and Iowa. Then we've got the southern low here in the Dakotas. So that's the big picture in terms of flow and fronts and that kind of thing. We can nail that down with thickness. For that chart, we'll go to, not this thickness, that one's not very easy to read. There's this one right here. This is the GFS output from the Model Analysis Guidance Suite at INSEP, and our thickness gradient runs from Minnesota all the way down to the southwestern U.S. like that, so we know that the frontal locations are going to be like this. So basically from Chicago to Kansas and then southwestward into New Mexico. So it looks like that front is making a little bit of progress to the east. So not bad there, because we do need the cool air here for sure. In fact, DFW had its highest temperatures in October of all time last month. So I don't know if that's global warming or climate change, or if that's just coincidence, but something to think about there. The warm front associated with this frontal system is in Pennsylvania down to Delaware. So large tropical air mass covering the southern U.S. And then we have this secondary cold front moving out of Canada. We talked about that yesterday. And there it is. The leading edge goes all the way to northern British Columbia and to the Yukon. So maybe a backdoor front moving into the White Horse to Dawson area. I seriously doubt we have any viewers in Alaska, but that would be pretty cool if we did. So anyway, this is kind of like a Arctic reinforcement, and we're going to expect that to move southward over the next day or two. So that's pretty easy, right? Let's connect that to upper air data. All right, let's see. GFS did not finish loading the vorticity, so I'm going to kick that with a reload real quick. And let's check this out. Let's tie this into the upper level conditions. We're looking at the 500 millibar chart here. This is up at 18,000 feet. So this is basically the mid-troposphere. And remember, we had a frontal system running from Chicago to Kansas and then down to New Mexico. So where's the jet that supports this? It's located right there. And see, we're talking a little bit about that channeled flow that I mentioned a couple days ago. That might have been yesterday. Here's where we have channeled flow in between this area of high vorticity here and negative vorticity to the south. So that kind of guides the jet in between. So that's actually the polar front jet, and that's supporting the system we have over New Mexico and the Midwest. So any cyclogenesis associated with it in this area, that's probably going to be caused by height falls out in this area and disturbances that are moving through the trough. So another area channeled flow right here. So that's another segment of the polar front jet. So if we draw that out, we're going to come out with something like that right there. And so likewise, this system here in Ontario, that could definitely be supported with that could be supporting a frontal system at the surface, maybe like that. So we could go back down to the surface chart and see if we can see that system. And certainly out in the Pacific, that indicates probably another system out there. God, I don't know what's wrong with my voice. Not on the ball today here. All right, let's see. Do we have anything else to look at? We'll take a quick look at the satellite. There we go. We've got a jet stream cloud signature. See this area of cirrus coming up from Sonora. So jet's going to be on the back side of that, kind of like that. And let's see, things look kind of unstable up in the Pacific Northwest. And looks like a little bit of cloudy activity there in Virginia. Where would that be coming from? Looks like possibly some isotropic lift ahead of this warm front. So we're getting a little bit of warm air advection in this area. Probably a little bit of damming of the air mass in Virginia and North Carolina. All right, and I think we're probably about ready to move into the forecast. We'll check the hurricane, the NHC page. Looks pretty quiet, just this one area of forecast development. Okay, so I guess we'll move into the forecast here, look at the GFS prediction over the next 2 weeks. And I'm I'm taking a look at chat here. One person mentions that Atlanta has beaten its record high 2 days in a row. Wow, how about that? I tell you, hopefully we'll break this pattern pretty soon. Let's see if there's any hope for that in the forecast charts here. We'll move forward to the end of the week. Remember, we had this front over the central U.S., kind of like that. Where is that in 2 days? Well, that looks like it's in the northeast U.S. There's a leading edge. This actually looks like it picks up that polar outbreak coming out of Canada and moving south. And that probably couples with that old... Oh, yeah, you see what's happening here? It looks like that scoots southward a little bit. Let's go back a little bit. So there's our frontal boundary on Wednesday. And then it looks like that probably sinks southward very gradually, like that. So we have a front in the Texas area, probably a lot of moisture, so I think we're going to see rain chances go up in Texas Wednesday and Thursday. If we get any significant thunderstorm activity, I probably will bring the channel back up and we'll talk about some radar presentations. Okay, so a cold outbreak coming into the northeast on Thursday. See if I can pronounce that. Thursday night. In the back edge, we have this warm front up in Canada. That's going to be heading into the James Bay area. And then by the middle of the weekend, cold front sweeps through the northeast U.S., tail end down in Georgia and South Carolina. High pressure settling in over Texas, and that should push out some of the moisture. And then by, let's see, Saturday and Sunday, things are looking kind of stagnant. So the frontal zone lifts up to the northeast like that. We have a new system coming into the Pacific Northwest, but looks like that moves very gradually inland. And it looks to be a little bit on the weak side there. New reinforcement coming in along the west coast on November 8th. This is out at 168 hours. A new outbreak coming into the northeast U.S. on November 9th. So, more cold weather for the northeast U.S., nothing for Texas. Well, we get a little bit of high pressure sinking into the Texas area and a little bit of upslope starting to form here with this easterly gradient. So it looks like we're going to be kind of in a cloudy pattern here in Texas during much of next week. And then after that, we're starting to get into the crystal ball portion of the GFS. And it is showing it to be pretty mild across the U.S. And of course, at the very end, it brings in the massive cold outbreak like it always seems to do. And we'll just see if that happens. I'm sure it's going to back off on that, but man, look at that right there. That's got the 540 line, which is good for winter weather, all the way down to Nashville, down to Tulsa, and almost to Denver. And cold core right there. So, yeah, maybe we can take some bets on whether that's going to happen. Probably not. All right. I think that's probably about all I got here. I'll do something a little bit new here and bring up a music bed. I'm going to try to close this out a little bit more elegantly. But anyway, I appreciate you watching, and we'll see you at the usual time tomorrow. There goes my video. All right, see you guys later.